good Father. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are. So yes, you are, Lord. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are. Into your breath, my lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise to your name. Our lungs, so we pour out our praise to your There's nothing worth more that could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, now I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves. My heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Unplug this place and fill the atmosphere. be the cry of your heart today? Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence. I know that you're here in this place. Overwhelming and all-encompassing presence is here, Father. So God, I pray that you just continue to fill this place, fill the hearts of every single person in this room, Father. Let your glory be known. Let your faithfulness be known to the end of the age that you are God, that you are Jesus, and that you are Lord over all, and every knee and every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess you are Lord. So we sing of your greatness and your goodness, and that you are perfect. You are perfect, God. And this church has had its rough moments, God, but we've also seen the overwhelming blessing that you have bestowed upon us as well. That you have been faithful in this church for 29 years, and you've been faithful to the families that have been attending this church as well, God. So Holy Spirit, I pray that you would continue to guide us this morning as we continue to worship and honor the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and his name is Jesus. It's your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Your congregation may be seated. Good morning. On behalf of the First Millennium Baptist Church, I'd love to welcome you all here. There's a lot of people here this morning, a lot of new faces I see as well. And so if you're here the first, second, third, millionth time, we just want to welcome you. We pray that you just feel welcomed and that you feel the Lord's love this morning through our service as well as through the people. If you are here, we do have baptism today. If you are here, if you are the family member, friend of someone who's being baptized today, if you could please stand for me really quick, just to show some support. Please stand. Amen. We have several people being baptized here, so thank you for being here this morning. We welcome you have a seat. So let's take some time to just welcome one another, shake each other's hand, give each other a hug on this wonderful fall Sunday. Oh, I love you. I love you. I can see the glory of my King. Yes, I love you with love. Oh, I love you. Yes, I love you. I can see the glory of my King. Yes, I love you with the love of God. Amen. The congregation may be seated. Congregation may be seated. If you want to open up your bulletins with me, you see on the right side we'll have our ministry opportunities till the end of the year. Today we do have our fellowship lunch right afterwards in our fellowship hall, so please join us again as we celebrate our 29th church, I was about to say wedding anniversary, 29th church anniversary, as well as celebrating those who are being baptized today. On Thursday, November 23rd, Thanksgiving, we do our annual nursing home visit, so please join us. We're going to Long Point Nursing Home. It'll be at 10 a.m. On December 10th, we have our Christmas cantata, and so if you come here 6 p.m., our choir is going to be singing, and so they'll give you a little taste of that pretty soon. And then on the 24th, we also have our Christmas Eve service, so please join us for that as well. If you turn to the back of your bulletin, we have our birthday celebrants and anniversary celebrants for this week. We have quite a few. On the 19th, we have Isa Fortune, which is today. Happy birthday, Isa. we have Mark DiPasupo. The 23rd, we have Elijah DiPasupo and Jonathan Ramillo. On the 24th, we have Lillian Belarga. And anniversaries, the 22nd, we have Melcher and Miriam Navarra. And the 25th, Neil and Michelle Soares. It's your birthday and anniversary, we'd love to pray for you as well. Let us pray. God, we thank you for just the amount of blessings that you've just given to each and every single person here, as well as our birthday celebrants and anniversary celebrants as well. We thank you for another milestone in all of our lives, God. And so I pray that we just continue to glorify you and honor you in everything that we do during the service today. We hear and pray, Jesus. Amen. Let's continue our service by the giving of ourselves, our pledges, and of our tithes.
Before we accept your tithes and offerings, we would like to regale you with one story that will amaze and astound you, and hopefully make you in more of a giving spirit. No, I'm just kidding. Do you know that your life story is a testament of God's glory? And in the same way, God is weaving a story for our church that leaves no doubt that our great and loving God deserves all of our honor and praise. In the 1970s, there was no Filipino evangelical congregation in Houston. There was, however, an international Sunday school class started by Filipino nurses at a church near the Texas Medical Center. By 1983, Filipinos comprised almost 1/3 of the membership at Rice Temple Baptist Church. It was around that time that the Holy Spirit placed a desire in their hearts and the hearts of Filipinos in various other churches to follow him to where he was leading. There was supposed to be a slide presentation. On March 24th, 1987, the 47-member First Philippine Baptist Mission was launched. Braeburn Valley Baptist Church hosted the mission, and we called Dr. Tomas Calisterio to be our pastor. We steadily grew as Pastor Tom reached out to known Filipino evangelicals in the area. We drafted our church constitution in 1988, and on November 20th, 29 years ago, the First Philippine Baptist Church of Houston was born. As in the case of new Christians, Satan's discouragement was prevalent in our first year as a church. Some charter members left due to differences of opinions concerning the leadership structure. Some members were forced to move away due to work, and some were called home to be with the Lord. It never seemed like we would ever have enough money to own property located centrally to our families. We even fell so low as to cancel prayer meeting. Do you know that some Filipino believers even told us that no Filipino evangelical church led by Filipinos would ever succeed in Houston? The nerve of them. But then again, they were right. It took us a while, but we finally realized that we weren't in charge. The Lord reminded us in Psalm 127, verse 1, it says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stand guard in vain." In 1989, Pastor Tom recommended Reverend Denmark Suizan of Faith Baptist Church in Quezon City, Philippines, to succeed him as pastor. Through Pastor Denmark's leadership, God breathed new life into our church, and considerable growth happened. God also made a property available that was close by when that congregation moved to Sugar Land. The price tag was lofty at first, but later became affordable by God's grace. Up to the co-signing of our mortgage papers, God's hand was apparent, especially to a congregation with no credit history. On April 4th, 1990, we held our first worship service at 8809 Bissonnette Street, our new home. In 2002, we held our first note burning ceremony because our multiple mortgages were fully paid in only 12 years instead of the scheduled 15. Back to the early 1990s, Pastor Denmark had a growing church on his hands, and the youth needed a leader. In 1994, we called Reverend Ernest Howard de Gaulle to be our associate and youth pastor. He had been chaplain and associate pastor of the University Church, as well as a faculty member of the College of Theology of Central Philippine University. He was later joined by his wife, Dr. Cecil Gonzalez de Gaulle, who was a practicing internist at the Iloilo Mission Hospital. In 1997, it was a big year for Pastor D because the senior pastor mantle was passed on to him when Pastor Denmark moved on to another ministry assignment. Additionally, Faith Alexin, the violin player, became the first pastor's kid to be born into the church. In 1998, Brother O.J. Guerrero answered the call from within our congregation to be Pastor D's co-worker. A physical therapist by occupation, he had accepted Jesus Christ following our church's Christmas cantata in 1991. After completing his advanced degree in biblical studies, he was formally ordained as our associate pastor. And in 2003, God called Pastor O.J., Carol Fortune Guerrero, and their two children, TJ and JJ, to minister in Colorado Springs. While God was calling Pastor O.J. out, God was calling Pastor Rick Del Rosario in. He accepted a part-time position as our youth pastor. Soon after, he resigned as a high school science teacher to become our full-time youth pastor. He married Emily Barger Del Rosario, and they are blessed with two PKs of their own, Tyson and Elise. In 2006, we accepted God's plan for giving us a new home. We sold our church building on Bissonnet, and on May 31st, 2009, we dedicated the new First Philippine Baptist Church, a location which just so happens to be amidst 4 Texas cities with some of the biggest percentage of Filipinos residing in them. Can you name them? Stafford, Sugar Land, Missouri City, and Pearland. In 2013, God put our church on a journey that really brought us on a closer walk with Him. Pastor Rick took on the lead pastor position, and Pastor D became the administrative pastor. Then in 2014, the Holy Spirit moved His pastors to different ministries. A pastoral search committee led by Faye Larble was formed. Little did they know that that term of service would be 3 long years. Imagine 3 years without a pastor. Elders Lester Leonaris, Eric Belarga, Pastor Elvin Fortune, and that other guy really learned to rely on God during that time. God used our servant leaders and members mightily, and through it all, He allowed our church to grow. God again proved to us that He is trustworthy. Amen. Has He not provided the right shepherd? Thank you, Pastor James and Pia, for answering the call. Pastor James, Pia, Ethan, William, and Jackson moved here from the Bay Area last June. On July 2nd, 2017, he was inaugurated as our senior pastor. That's not the only exciting development that God has led us through this year. Our Hearts to Home ministry turned our attention to the Mindanao area. 30 of our members not only witnessed God's presence and His miraculous accomplishments, but also were used by God to model how He can bless the ministries of the local churches if they would follow Him in faith. God overcame all fear of the insurgents and drug culture, and our missionaries were witness to Jesus' claim on the hearts of the Maman Boyins and His claim on Cabanaturan Agusan itself. Additionally, God spared the households of our members during Hurricane Harvey, but He didn't spare us from hard work. Our church joined many other churches in answering the call of those in need. Many of these opportunities to help turn into opportunities to minister and evangelize. One such opportunity turned into a new satellite Bible study group in Country Place. In fact, we have started 5 new Bible study groups since Pastor James' arrival, doubling the number of such groups in less than a year. Raise your hands if you are proud members of any of these new groups. Let me see. Who's here that's part of these new groups? Amen. Amen. We are praying for more, obviously. God has set us apart from the beginning. And you see from our history that He has not only been with us during the critical periods of our journey, but He has also revealed Himself to us every step of the way. God's story has not ended for us yet. So let us go out boldly and focus on what He has in store for us in the future. Greater things are ahead for us, and we will certainly lay hold of them, solely for His glory, for His honor, and for His praise. Psalm 34, verse 3 says, "Glorify the Lord with me. Let us exalt His name together." Amen.
Now we shall give ourselves our pledges and of our tithes. we all rise for the seed of our doxology? Y'all may be